We're living our truth now. Crystal, what?
Krista who?
Christadelphian?
Did you say Christian Dolphin? So are you from Philadelphia?
Welcome to the Life After Leaving podcast, an ex-Christadelphian podcast. Hello, heathens, and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Zinnia. Today's guest is Kate. Thank you for joining us today, Kate.
Thank you for having me.
So today I'd like to hear your story of becoming an ex-Christadelphian. So I'd like to go through what your experience was like as a Christadelphian, what the process of leaving looked like for you, and where you're at now in life, and anything you'd want to share with people who may be going through a similar journey. So before we get started, could you first share what region of the world you were in and how long it's been since you left the Christadelphians?
So Sydney, Australia, and it's been about 5 to 6 years.
Okay, let's get right into it, and we'll start with your experience in the Christadelphians when you were younger. First off, were you born into the group?
Absolutely.
Almost everyone else.
I'm fourth generation on my dad's side, so my great grandma, and I'm third generation on my mum's side.
Okay, so your family's been in it for a while,
Yeah, a little bit.
Most. And then, what group were you in? Were you in the central group like I was, or one of the other groups?
Yeah, so over here in Australia, I think we've spoken about the idea that there's two ends of the spectrum in Australia, and the more conservative side is called Logos, and the less conservative side is called Shieldy or Shield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my whole childhood, I was in a Logos meeting.
Okay.
And then when I was an adult, I upgraded to Shield. So
nice. And do they both identify as fellowshipping under the Birmingham Amended Statement of Faith? Do you remember that, or do they kind of have their own thing?
I think so. It's just
Okay.
not as spoken about over here as it is with Canada or America. You know how there's that whole amended and unamended,
Yep,
all that kind
we
of
have
stuff.
that. Yep.
Yeah. It's just not really spoken about. It's spoken about if ever you question anything, and then they bring out that tiny little book that people used to get in the 50s when they were baptized, but that's pretty much the only time it gets spoken about.
Okay, I was just curious because again, it's different from what I was raised with, so I just don't know. Let's go into your Christadelphian childhood then. So you can tell me a little bit about what it was like being raised a Christadelphian, what your ecclesia was like, things like that.
Yeah, so I guess I want to start off with just preface everything with I have no hard feelings against Christadelphians. I have no negative thoughts towards them as a whole. I love my parents very much and my family very, very much. And so many people within the religion have been there to support me, to help me, to guide me, all that kind of stuff. However, that doesn't really negate the, negatives that we will probably end up talking about.
Well, to be fair, we are talking about people and communities of people, and no one's perfect. So I would be kind of shocked if you're everyone was amazing.
Sunshine and rainbows.
We'd also be why aren't you still there if it's so great? At some point, you have to admit, it wasn't the best fit for me, at least.
Yes, yeah. It had its problems. There was lots of different families and different dynamics in my home meeting.
Yeah.
So originally I started in a I guess let's use the 1 to 10 being super conservative and 10 being women are speaking kind of thing.
Yeah.
I started off in a meeting that was at 2 or 3 in my childhood, and then we moved from that because there was no other kids my age and my sister's age. We then moved from that meeting to a different meeting, which was kind of a bit more of a 4 or a 5.
Seems like a comfortable place to be. Okay. That's probably more like the
Yeah.
American ones that I grew up in.
Yeah, yeah. So with my schooling, so I don't currently live. My parents still live about an hour to an hour and a half south of Sydney.
Okay.
So it's a decent amount away from most things. So for my first 3 years of schooling, from kindergarten to year two, I went to a Seventh Day Adventist school.
I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah, yeah. It's because my parents actually thought that it was like they didn't want us going to public or Catholic school or
Mm-hmm.
Christian schools.
It would be pretty different. Yeah.
Yeah, and they felt that SDAs aligned the closest to our
I think
like
I would agree with
beliefs.
that just based
Yeah.
on that they have some shared history. If you go back in time, a lot of
Mm.
they did have some overlap.
Yeah, one very quick funny story about that. When I was going through school and I was at the SDA school, me and my sister were obsessed with Harry Potter, obsessed.
Okay.
And my mother had gotten both of us the book each, as they came out. So we'd
Mm-hmm.
taken them to school to be able to like, read at lunchtime because, nerds. Um,
I do.
like,
If you
like,
haven't figured it
ew,
out over
what
here.
do you mean you want me to go and play on the grass with the other children?
Send me to the library.
Yeah. Yeah, me and my sister took them to school and we got them confiscated and got yelled at because they were
Wow.
witchcraft and we
Ooh.
weren't allowed to have them there.
Yeah, I kept hearing about other Christian kids that had that happen too, but that didn't
Mm.
happen to me. I remember bringing, I think it was the sixth Harry Potter book to Bible school and like literally reading it, like whenever I had like a little break in between all the sessions and activities that they had. So
Yes.
mine didn't get confiscated.
So, and then when I was starting year three, my parents made the decision to send us to the Heritage College in Sydney.
So were you still living where you lived? Were you had that long commute then every day?
Yes.
Oh.
So the trip ranged from anywhere between an hour and 15 to an hour and a half each way, to school every single day.
That's
Um,
exhausting. Plus, it gives you no time for like extracurriculars, and like I feel
yes.
like you're not going to socialize with people you really want to spend time with because, like, oh, come over, later. It's like unless it's directly after school,
Yes.
I'm not going to make another trip out.
Exactly. Yeah. So geography was a big thing that I think contributed to my experience, being a Christadelphian because my school was up in Sydney, my church was up in Sydney, my youth groups were up in Sydney, and even when I did get my license, or my sister got her license, again, I love my parents, but they were very controlling in terms
Mm,
of where we were allowed to go and what we were allowed to do.
mm.
So it was very isolating living there.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah. So it was also very sheltered going to Sydney, Heritage College.
So, a heritage college is a Christadelphian school specifically.
Yes. So not exclusively though.
Okay, so there are
Um,
non-Christadelphian students.
yes, at Sydney,
Okay,
yes. Yeah.
okay.
There were other heritages in Australia that started out exclusive, but then they realized that we can't make any money off of that, and two, we need to be looking inclusive. So,
Give the appearance of inclusivity.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so far
So
I've
then they
only
changed.
okay, because I've only heard about the Heritage College in one in Canada so far from someone who attended. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure how that experience would have been different for you, or if you want to give any more details for people who haven't been to them or don't really know that much about them.
Yeah, so let me start with there's I think five. There's one in Perth, Adelaide, Sydney, Brisbane. No, I think I'm thinking about the one overseas as the fifth one. So
Okay.
there's four. Yeah. And it's a very weird dynamic going to a heritage,
Okay.
especially if you're like a very sheltered person like I was, because you're going to school and you're seeing your teachers
Hmm.
who Side note, actually, not at my school, but in two of the other schools, when they first started out, they used to have to call them auntie and uncle.
That's so
Yeah,
unprofessional.
yeah.
But I
So
get it
I
because
know,
that's what you do at the ecclesia. Like, that's the
yeah,
standard practice.
yeah. So at the Heritage up in Newcastle that my best friend went to, yeah, when they first started out, they had to call them, auntie and uncle. So odd.
That's so
Um,
weird. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
I'm sure that would have been culture shock for the other students who weren't Christadelphians, especially
yeah.
once that started.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, it's a very odd dynamic because you're seeing your teachers at school
Hmm.
and you're having to be in one frame of mind with them, but then you're seeing them at church and at class and at youth group if they're talking at youth group. So like it's odd.
It
Yeah.
is a little odd having them be in so many different roles in your
Mm,
life, I guess.
yeah.
At least it sounds like with your parents being so far away, they probably weren't volunteering to be teachers there, because that's even worse when it's
No.
also like your mom's teaching and then your mom's also at
Yes.
home. It's like, oh man, she knows I have homework tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
She assigned it.
Yeah, luckily at my like home meeting where I grew up most of the time, I didn't have any teachers there personally. Um they went to like two or three different other meetings in Sydney.
Okay.
So I was happy about that, but yeah, it still doesn't change like having to see them at different points in the week
Okay.
outside of school. They've told you off for not doing your homework, and then you have to see them and be all nice and prim and proper with them.
Yeah, it's a little awkward. It just feels very like old timey. Like if you lived in like a small town and like in America, it'd be like the colonial period where it's like this small town with like 100 people in it. Like, yeah, I could see that being the same kind of vibe
Yeah,
where
yeah,
everyone's in each other's business.
yes. I really struggled a lot with social things because I was always deemed as like in trouble or one of the bad kids.
Well, were you a troublemaker?
Well, I mean, recently I've been working through with my therapist, and she's actually been telling me, well, were you bad or were you just being a child?
See, that's a fair question.
Yeah. So it kind of meant that I was on the kind of outer edges of the social
Hmm.
groups in Sydney due to, the geography and
Yep.
the looking like a bad child and stuff like that, a bad influence on other people.
Hmm.
So in Sydney, if you're part of particular meetings or particular families, then you're classed as like the cool kids, or like there's one particular family that where there's a lot of really rich family, or two particular
Wealth
meetings where
doesn't
there's
hurt. Yeah, yeah.
oh yeah. And every single year there'll be a massive group of them that will go to the snow and go to the beach for like 3 or 4 weeks at the end of the year.
Oof,
Like,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
They can
But
take
I
me. That
just
sounds great.
I know, right? It's hard because my two friends that I had from school that were in my
Hmm.
class, according to my parents, they weren't desirable friends, but like they couldn't stop me from hanging out with them.
Well, yeah, they're not at school to be like, you sit over there kind of thing.
Yes. So one, she didn't go along, and her mum went along very rarely. And
Okay.
then the other one, she went along, but she was part of the Shieldy meetings.
Mm,
So those
so neither
heathens over there.
so
Yeah,
neither was a weekly attending Logos family in good standing. That was the distinction. That was the
correct.
standard. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So that meant that like I wasn't able to go over for like sleepovers or hangouts with them. And if I was, my parents would actually try and find out if there was any Shieldy youth groups on. And if there was, then I wasn't allowed to go that weekend. But if there wasn't, then I was
That's
allowed to
really
go.
weird. That's really
Yeah.
weird.
So yeah, I can probably count on one hand the amount of sleepovers or like hangouts that I've had with my friends because I just
Mm.
wasn't allowed to.
That's sad. Yeah, because you had to be doctrinally pure even from a young age.
Oh, absolutely. So, in terms of my childhood in general, I fell into line quite quickly. I was baptized at probably 13 or 14.
Yeah, it's on the younger side.
Yeah, and did all the right things, said all the right things, but then
But then,
was a good little sister. But then, as I got older, from like about 19 or so, I started to push back, like expecting clothing or hats for women being worn and being able to speak up for us as women or our experiences. That was kind of where I started to push back.
okay, I'm curious. Do you think that you were influenced at all by having people in your life that you were close with that were shield, where women could have that freedom? Like, do you think that was part of it, or do you think it was just something you would have felt anyways, even if you had only ever been around the Logos people?
I think so. Because I didn't really understand the idea of, which is very common. I didn't understand the idea of critical thinking until I was like early 20s.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Pete had mentioned that too in his episode. He's like, we
yeah,
didn't know what it was. We didn't know how
yeah,
to do it. We didn't know what it was.
yeah. As well as, my friends being Shield, my best friend and her family, they are all ex-Christadelphians. And my best friend, she has four sisters, and
Hmm.
all of them are on the queer spectrum somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time at their house. I spent a lot of time talking to them about things,
Hmm.
venting about things, clarifying things with them.
Hmm.
They were such a good support for me to be able to help me, one, through the process of leaving,
Hmm.
but two, to be able to help me use that critical thinking side of my brain.
Hmm. To ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's great. It's nice that you had that group of women for support,
Mm.
and to have those conversations with, which, yeah, it's tough to have within the Christadelphians, but it sounds like they were kind of outside of it a bit. So
Yes, yeah.
that's good. So you had mentioned to me that your family had had a small split. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I didn't know this until I was later teens, early 20s, that this had happened, but this had happened just before I was born.
Okay.
There is a meeting down near where my parents live, which us as a family never attended because it was too small, or I don't know, actually, now
I
that
mean,
I'm
that
thinking about it.
seems like that would be so convenient instead of an hour and a half
Yeah,
each way.
well, this is the thing, right? Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it was because of this whole issue with like my family and everything like that, drama. Um, there was a split of my nana and some of her kids that then took their half of the split to my nana's farm, and they
Okay.
even they even like built like a whole meeting hall on her farm,
Okay. Yeah.
and the meeting's called the farm. It literally.
That's so cute. Yeah, there was one place in Pennsylvania that had like a little shed that they met in, and it could fit like, from my memory, it fit like 8 people in it. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah,
picturing in my head. It's just like they put a shed down. Maybe it had more seating, but
yeah.
I'm picturing something just like a small little building. I'm like, yeah, we can meet
Pretty
there, sure,
much.
on like some
Yeah,
random person's
and
property.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it was, that usual part of it's lino and then part of it's like carpet squares, um, that kind of vibe. It was heavily conservative.
Okay. Was that like a one then on your spectrum?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The interesting thing with over here in Australia specifically, I can't speak for any other countries, but when you say heavily conservative, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have loose morals.
Well, someone had said there's like socially conservative and like theologically conservative or something like
Yes.
that. So I'm saying more
Yes.
theologically because I know some people have other things, yeah, going
Yeah.
on that they're looser with. Like, oh yeah, let's go watch a football game after meeting. Whereas like you would think that they'd be like, no, it's Bible readings, then we go back to meeting kind of vibe.
Yes, yeah. So it's very interesting. It seems like that a lot of the more vocal conservative meetings here in Australia. And I think Luke mentioned this previously, like the social side of it is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we didn't really ever go to my nana's meeting much. I
Okay.
think I went there like twice ever. Like Luke's meeting, they're very selective with who's allowed there and who's allowed to speak there.
Oh, okay. So
Mm,
no wonder it was so small and like
yeah,
in
yeah,
this like secret location. You have to know Nana to get the password to go to the farm.
absolutely.
They don't even give the town. Like usually the town will be like, "Oh, like Melbourne is in Melbourne," but they're like, "It's the farm. We'll give you the town once we know you're okay."
Absolutely.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah, I feel like that would make the most sense if that played into why your family went all the way to Sydney.
Mm,
Because they're like, yeah, we didn't make the cut to be on the farm, or maybe they didn't want
yeah.
to be.
The reason they gave to us was that there wasn't many kids for me and my sister. So whether that was the actual reason, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they were necessarily encouraging you to socialize a ton with the kids at the other meeting, like you just said. So, is that the real purpose? I don't know. Anyways, what were some of the things that you liked about being a Christadelphian?
The biggest thing for me was the sense of community. That has been something that has gotten me through my childhood, adolescence, and adult life, both in and out of the religion. I have friends everywhere, all over Australia, all over the world, because of, going to youth groups and going to camps.
Traveling. Yep.
Yeah, I traveled a lot, but we can probably go into that a bit later.
Yeah. Traveling was probably one of my favorite things about being Christadelphian too.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely wouldn't have traveled so much as a young person if not for that.
Mm.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the events and Bible schools and things that you went to? You can talk about what the weekly schedule was like, because that seems to vary quite a bit by areas too. So we've heard about like the UK, and like mine was pretty low key in America.
Yeah, so in Australia, ours isn't as packed as the UK
Mm-hmm.
schedule, but the usuals are obviously Sunday, and then there's Bible class on Wednesday night. Usually it's Wednesday. Then every second Friday is CYC, which
Okay.
is Christadelphian Youth Circle, and that's the Logos version. And then the Shield version is SCYP,
Yes.
um, which actually I can't actually think of what that stands for, but
That's
yeah,
going to come out in the previous episode to this. So you don't have to worry about it because everyone will have heard it last
perfect.
week if they listen.
Amazing, amazing. Um, so then there was like specific church youth groups. So just for my church in particular. So
Mhm.
we would have a sisters class and a brothers class, obviously separate, that
Okay.
happened at least once, sometimes twice a month.
That's kind of a lot.
Yeah. And there's more. There's more.
Keep
Um,
going.
Then you'd have Sunday school outings, yearly outings, and then camps where there's like Daughters of Zion weekend, which is the
Okay.
female only version, and then Sons of the Prophets weekend, which is the male only version.
They love a breakdown by gender. Love
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime they can do that.
Yeah. And then study week or study weekend, they alternate each year.
Is a week like it's like a week long?
It's a whole
All
week.
week?
Yeah.
On top of a
Yeah.
Bible school that's different than a Bible school?
Yes.
Oh
But
man.
it's at Bible school.
Oh, it is at Bible school. Okay.
Yeah, they use Bible school a lot for everything here.
Well, they it was at Rathmines, right? The one with the barbed
Rough
wire that
minds, yeah.
Rathmines. Sorry, I'm not Australian. I'm figuring it out. Okay, so they just
Yes,
whenever they
they're
could, they owned the facility so they could do a bunch of
hmm
events there. That makes sense. We always
hmm
had to rent out a place, so it was
yeah.
like that's it. You got the one.
Yeah, they got it heavily, like a lot cheaper than what they would be able to get at any other places of that size. And yes, there is indeed barbed wire and fences around the whole
That's
thing.
all I picture every time. It's just like I'm like, oh yeah, can only imagine how that feels to drive up to.
Yes. And so back to the camps, then
Okay,
there was, I'm still going.
keep going.
Then there's Then there's Novi Camp, which is November Camp in
Okay.
Newcastle. Then there's the Bible schools. So then couldn't remember if there's three or four
That's so
that
many.
happen. I know, that happen every single year. And then on top of that, you then have other like pop-up ones. I was on a committee for one that was kind of up in the Newcastle area. It was a week-long conference. I can't even remember what they called it.
Yeah.
So you just had those random ones.
Yeah, they're kind of random.
And that's just in the Sydney area.
Australia goes hard as a
Oh, yeah.
Christadelphian. You guys go really hard. You're like, I'm on a committee every other weekend. We're at an event all year round. I spent every week of vacation time at
Yeah.
a Bible school or Bible camp or study week. It's so much.
Yeah, it it's very interesting because when I think back to my teenage years, when I was, not wanting to be at home or not wanting to go to the youth stuff that was here, I would literally just book a flight and go to another state to go to another camp somewhere. There's a very common, a very well-known camp in Australian standards called Hebron Camp down
Okay.
in Adelaide,
Hmm.
and they do like a weekend and then a week kind of version of it. And yet there's something going on in every single state, every single weekend. And I would be on a return flight from Sydney probably at least 3 to 4 times a year.
I can't imagine how much time people spend putting into the Christadelphians there.
Well, not to mention money as
Yeah.
well. Like, they're not cheap.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I feel like once you're leaving you can recognize like, oh my goodness. And that's not even counting just going to the Sunday and dropping something in like the Sunday school collection and the meeting collection of like funds for the church. This is all
Mm,
just for running these camps and stuff. And then you've got all these brothers mostly, unless you're
mhm.
super shieldy and there's some women speaking, like having to give all these classes and stuff. That sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I'm tired of just being a regular adult, let alone a Christadelphian adult. My God,
I feel that. I
that's
feel
so
that.
much. I can't imagine doing it now. But yeah, that's what life was like when we were young. We just ran around. It, for here was going to different states. Be like, oh, we're going to be in Ohio this weekend. We'll go up to New York this weekend. We'll go up to Canada. Like, we'll
Yeah.
just go wherever. We'll go down to Virginia this weekend. There was
Yes.
always
Yeah.
somewhere to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in town?
Um,
All right.
Yeah, and that's the thing also like with Australians it seems I mean definitely with English people but Australians if we're driving interstate like anywhere between 13 and 18 hours of driving that's quite normal for us. We would do that for a weekend. So if I was
Yeah,
going
we've
to a
done that before
camp,
too. That was us to
yeah.
Canada. It was like the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, so if we're going to like a camp in Brisbane, we'd drive up on the Friday afternoon, get there late
Yep.
Friday night, and then
Yep.
leave on the Sunday. But like
Yeah.
English people just could not fathom that idea. They're like,
Yeah.
we need to pack a bag after 2 hours.
Yeah. Mike was teasing me about that in his episode, I remember, just because we have so much space in America. And again,
Yes. Yeah.
Australia compared to the UK is much bigger. And again, I don't know how we do. I can't sit in a car that long anymore. It's only because we were young, I can imagine.
Yes.
And then you had mentioned a few little comments to me before we actually started recording, bring up dating culture. So since we're talking about camps and stuff, we all know the real
Mhm.
reason teenagers go to so many camps when they're younger self.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
to scope out a spouse, a nice holy spouse, so you can have Christadelphian children together, right?
Yeah, cute little Christo babies that will follow Jesus and wear their hats if they're girls
Yeah, because they
and
gotta
wear
get
skirts and
baptized.
dresses. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, so it's heavily intertwined in camps, dating culture. And it's even reinforced by the adults in your life being like, well, who did you meet? What's his name? Who are you messaging? Like that would be within the first 5 questions that you're asked after you go to a camp.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think my
Um,
parents engaged in that, but I could see my cousins doing that, where they'd be like, I saw you and so by the bonfire at the hymn sing.
Yes, yep. And that's actually how I met my first boyfriend. I met him
Oh,
at a Bible school.
all right. So you
Um,
did date a Christadelphian at some point, yeah.
I dated a couple, yeah.
Okay.
I met him at a Bible school. He was from Brisbane. Um,
So that would have
but
been long distance then?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So long distance for the first year, and then I moved up to Brisbane
Wow.
for the second year, and we dated for about 2.5 years. So I had moved states, and then after I'd moved states, he decided that I wasn't a good enough sister for him.
Wow.
So
Well, you
yeah,
were a bad girl even as a young girl, so he saw
this is
it.
true.
You
This
grew
is true.
into it even more. I'm sure you wore it
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I did. I did. It was because, I was wearing pants to
So you weren't
non-Sunday
wearing
events.
skirts?
Exactly.
And
Or
wait, you were
dresses.
expected to wear skirts and dresses to what kind of events? What was the standard
Okay.
he wanted?
This is one of the things that like really bugs my bear. You were expected that if it was any type of event that is organized by the meeting, that you are to wear a skirt or a dress. That includes sports days or days where you are expected to be active. So what we had to do then, in like the middle of summer especially, and it's like so hot here in Australia,
Yeah, that's like the first thing
you're
I think of with
yeah.
Australia. It's like deserts, heat.
Literally, you're wearing a big, thick denim skirt because that was
We love
totally
the
the
long
fashion.
denim. Yeah.
Yeah. With then like tights or bike shorts underneath it
hmm
because just in case you flash someone. But then that adds an extra layer and you just get all hot and sweaty and bothered and it was
Yeah.
just
Sweaty tights are
frustrating.
not pleasant.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like that's giving like Amish vibes because like I've been to the beach and like I'll
Yeah.
just see like this Amish family roll out and they're all in like long, like ankle length dresses, like long sleeve
Yes.
tops on the dresses and like bonnets. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, that looks so hot and uncomfortable. And it also like makes you look so different than everyone else around you,
Absolutely.
like when you're in public. It's very
Yes.
othering.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Side note actually about long denim skirts. I
Okay.
just bought myself one like 3 months
Did you
ago.
wear it to the interview though? Did you wear it right now? I can't
No,
see.
I didn't. I didn't.
Throwback.
I bought it and I was like, I don't know. I had like a little bit of a life crisis. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wear this because I actually really like it and I like how I'm gonna be able to style
So
it with
it's
my style.
empowering. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. But then sometimes when I put it on, I'm just like, I should be
Time to grab
wearing a
my Bible
hat.
case. Gotta grab my hat.
Yes. Um, so anyway, back to what I was saying about dating culture.
Oh yeah, relationships. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were saying that he was upset that you weren't wearing skirts to every single outing and
Mm,
event. So that made you a bad
yes.
Christadelphian.
Well, also for the fact that I wasn't wearing a hat unless it was Sunday.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. That's what we
Um,
did all the time in America. I only wore one to the Sunday, to the services.
yeah, so much like pants, if unless it was a sports day, you're not expected to wear them on sports days, except for
That
some of
seems
the
really
mums still,
challenging.
yeah, some of the mums still do. Like
I
the
believe
older
it.
mums, they would
Yeah.
still wear a hat if it was a sports day.
Well, honestly, if you're sitting in the shade, you're not like running around playing baseball. Sure, why not wear a hat? Honestly, at that
Yeah,
point, like keep the sun out of your eyes.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
also, I'm picturing like the wicker hats and like things like that, or like the fancy ones with like ruffles and ribbon on them. I'm guessing they wouldn't allow a baseball cap. They would still frown on that, I would imagine.
Absolutely not.
See,
No.
that's the thing is like technically it's a hat. Technically, I would be following the rules if I wore it. But it's not even
Well,
necessarily about the rule. It's about like the
mm,
tradition of like, well, it has to be this aesthetic.
hmm. So I got into that technical area and using
Oh,
technicalities.
that means I think we're both bad
Um,
girls. I'm seeing similarities.
To the point that at one point I was forgetting my hat every single Sunday, and my parents shamed me and made me wear a hoodie and made me sit in the very back row so no one
Honestly,
could
that
see
sounds
me.
comfortable as hell, so that's
Absolutely.
kind of a
Yeah.
win. Also, I feel like they would be kind of horrified, like if anything, to be like,
Mm,
"Oh, our daughter's wearing the hoodie." Like I feel like I would be
yeah.
surprised that they would want you to do that. Be like, "In order to honor Jesus, you have to wear this hoodie, my daughter." Like, what?
Well, it was the only option at the time. And I mean, I like to say that I am a front runner in certain things. And at my meeting, I was the reason why they started a basket of spare hats because Kate would always forget her hat.
That's funny, and I have heard apparently my meeting has started doing that sometimes. So, holy crap. Yeah, that's the passive aggressive thing. When they're upset with someone, they just bring out the basket of hats to be like, "We are fucking done
Yeah.
with her shit." And they're like, we're bringing out a basket of hats. But I do feel like if you ask around, usually someone can pull out a little triangle of lace to throw on your head. But
I definitely had my regulars that I would go to
yeah.
that would have something like that. Yeah,
Also, what
absolutely.
what were your favorite head coverings at the time? Just lady to lady. What was your style?
So we went from sort of like little hipster bowl hats kind of thing.
Okay.
Like the ones that like Charlie Chaplin used to wear.
Okay, I can picture it. I'm
Yeah.
surprised, but I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Charlie
yeah.
Chaplin-esque.
I liked to be a little bit different because everyone was just like wearing a scarf or a beret.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm curious. How did
Yeah.
you show your own flair?
And I would get like different colored ones like that.
Okay.
But then as I got to the point of not giving a fuck, I would take a scarf because I would keep the scarf in my car and a scarf
Yeah.
doesn't get squished. And it got to the point of wearing the scarf from like the front and then letting it hang down like over my
Mm-hmm.
hair.
Okay.
And then as the months progressed, that got smaller and smaller and smaller
Until
to
it
the
was like a
point where it
headband?
was like a band on my head.
Scarf headband. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting little loophole
I
there.
know.
Technically, it's on your head and it is a scarf on your head, but how much of the head is covered? Stay tuned to hear what Christadelphians have now enforced in their local ecclesias. You also inaugurated the hoodie as a head covering, which please,
Absolutely.
listeners, report back and tell me if anyone else has been ballsy enough to do
Mm.
that because I want to hear about it.
So yeah, it was the stupidest reasons, but obviously it was my first love. So,
Yeah,
devastated. Um,
obviously. Understandable.
yeah. And then, which seems to be a very common thread in my life, I then met another boy from another
Okay.
camp that I went to, who lived in Newcastle.
Oh no, so that was
Um,
another state?
yeah, yeah. And we started dating. I moved down probably to Newcastle probably about 6 months after we started dating.
That's fairly quick.
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, I think one of the reasons why it was so quick was because it was then closer to my family as well. It was only a 3-hour drive to my family from Newcastle, so
Okay.
that kind of made it a little easier.
Yeah, it's not as big of a jump to feel so far away, I guess.
Yeah, so we dated for about 2.5 years again, but then had a relationship break due to he was working on his mental health.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was the pants again.
No, no. But then was like seemingly fine within a month because he started dating my best friend. So
Oh.
yeah, yeah. Safe to
Yeah.
say, both of those guys are married. With one of them has kids, but both of them aren't Christos anymore.
Interesting.
So
So I guess the
yeah,
pants didn't matter in the end for that guy.
no, no. So yeah, and then that was kind of the push that I needed to be able to move to England for 2 years.
Okay. That's going to be an
Mm,
interesting little side note.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we did jump ahead a little bit. So let's slow down a little bit and we can talk about your baptism, because you did say you were baptized, but
Mm.
what led up to it? What was that like? How did you feel? If you want to share a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, so I was baptized in 2009, and I was around, I think, 13 or 14. And honestly, from the start, I knew that I got baptized because of peer pressure. All of my friends were getting baptized, and I didn't want to be left out.
Did you do like a double baptism where you literally got baptized the same day as someone else?
No,
Oh,
but that definitely did happen a lot over here.
oh,
Definitely.
okay. Hmm.
Yeah, and still does.
I mean, they've already got the
S-
tank all filled up. Why not?
exactly,
Just
exactly.
dunk them all in.
Yeah. And yes, my baptism was in a tank, and it was on like a, I don't know what this is in Fahrenheit, but in Celsius, it was like a 40-degree day, like
Oh my God.
hot as Satan's ass crack.
Let me see what that is in Fahrenheit for the Americans. That's about 104 Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's pretty freaking hot.
Yeah. So I have a very, very visceral memory of my feet literally burning and wanting to be able to get in this fucking tank to get baptized because my feet were like probably
So hot.
blistering.
Oh my goodness. Australia.
I know,
And that
right?
was 2009. I imagine it gets even hotter nowadays.
Yeah, it gets like 45, 48 sometimes. 48 is probably the hottest I've ever seen it.
No thanks.
Yeah, so I didn't want to be the odd one out. And I knew at the time, the whole time, that it was peer pressure. Like obviously there was points, after like camps or Bible schools or things like that, that you would have like this particular surge of
Yeah, like the high.
faithfulness.
Yeah.
Yes,
Be like, I'm going to start doing my readings every day.
exactly. It lasts a day, not
It lasts
even.
a day, a week at most. Yeah, if you're really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I was just very apathetic to it all, really. And I just didn't really care. I just wanted to get it over and done with,
Did
really.
you feel like you had any inkling that you were going to leave or anything at that point? Because you said you didn't feel like you were really engaging your critical thinking at that stage. So it sounds like you were just
Mm.
going step by step of what was expected of you, even though your heart wasn't in it and theologically you weren't in it.
Yes, yeah, I absolutely. Because at that time also, I didn't know anyone that had left. I wasn't aware of anyone, or they weren't talked about.
Yeah, that
Um,
person, they're dead now.
exactly,
They don't
exactly. We just don't
exist.
see them.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Absolutely. Oh my God, I love that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I feel like that's what a lot of us grew up with was there was just the expectation of what your life would look like and you watched that with all of the people older around you as they went through those steps.
Yeah.
And it kind of usually takes something for you to finally be like, maybe not. Maybe let's not
Mm.
keep going down this path that was chosen for me. Like it would be easier to keep going
Yes.
with it. All right.
Mm.
So, one other thing about you being a young adult was that you would start working and going about your daily life. You're finally out of the Heritage College schools. What would you say was kind of the amount of control that it was having over your life? Did you feel like it was a group that exerted high control over your life?
Mm. Personally, it was complete control over my
Yeah.
life. And then when I was kind of like dropped into the deep end of working in the workforce, and I wanted to work on the weekends or hang out with friends from work, I would always be reminded that like it's not the life that we should be living. We shouldn't be part of their world.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, that was kind of used against me. The fact
Really?
that, yeah, my lack of faith, or I've been told that my lack of faith, the fact that things are going wrong in my life
Mm.
were because I wasn't friends with Christos, or I wasn't trusting in God, and I wasn't surrounding myself with Christadelphians. But my best friend, the one that I said that's her whole family is ex-Christadelphian.
Mm-hmm. Is she the one with all the sisters?
Yeah, she's also a raging lesbian, and I love her for that. Um, and I was told that because she's my best friend, that she's a bad influence on me.
An easy scapegoat, an LGBTQ person. Oh, so easy. They were
Yeah,
just like, perfect.
let's hate the
She's
gays.
corrupted you. Yeah, but let's take on the gays.
And it wasn't just from this like one person, it was from multiple people in my life that told
Yikes.
me that because I was friends with her and their family,
Yeah.
that they were influencing me badly.
One of the things I like about doing the true crime episodes is it allows you to have some more nuance around that narrative, because that is the dominant narrative is, oh, well, if they're a Christadelphian and they show up to meeting every week and they do whatever's on the checklist, they wear the hats, they wear their skirts, they do whatever it is for a man or a woman, then they must be a good person. Like inherently, like if you hit all the things on the checklist, they're safe. You can just go stay in this random person's home. You can date their, someone, their family, whatever it is. But so often, in talking with people here to see like real people's stories and hearing about, real crimes that have happened, you realize that not everyone's an angel just because they believe the same theology as you.
Yes.
And it's this opposite too. We see so many people that have mentioned that they've left and found such amazing relationships with people who aren't religious, if they're atheist, agnostic, whatever, or just different religions, and they can be really good people. So I think not conflating morality with certain identifiable characteristics is so helpful, but definitely not common in Christadelphia. It's like, oh, she's not a good Christadelphian, then she's a bad person.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very simple, very black and white.
Yeah. And I think that that's probably one of the main things that I deal with now, like as an adult, with my mental health and the things that I am talking to my therapist about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible being told that my best friend that supports me through literally everything is there for me when I'm crying, is there for me when I'm happy, is the only one that says that they are so proud of me for the life I was living at the time, even if I was a Christadelphian still. And then also later on when I decided to leave.
Yeah, that genuine acceptance.
Absolutely. Her parents are like my second parents. They were so incredibly supportive at any stage in my life. And I love them so much for that.
They'd let you grow and figure it out on your own and support you as you made all those decisions. That sounds so healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what a good family should be. It doesn't depend on what their religion is.
Yeah.
Or their sexual identity or any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that definitely would be upsetting as well as confusing for a child to hear, depending on what age you were through all of this. Because again, they're like, we talk about like, for me, I feel like I was almost like groomed for abusive relationships because you're told like, oh, these people who love you and treat you terribly, that's normal. And so like when you go out, like that's what you see. It's like the same thing there. It's like, what lessons are they telling me about relationships? Like, oh, I should be with people who don't treat me well as long as they're Christadelphian. Like, is that really what's more important to you than my mental and physical and emotional well-being? Like,
absolutely,
that's the values you're indirectly getting from your parents. They didn't say that, but they implied that through what their messaging was, even if they wouldn't consciously articulate it that way. So yeah, that's definitely valid. That's not great. And yeah, definitely some control there of like, you can't be friends with them. Well, I am.
Yeah. So what are you going to do about it?
I'll just find another raging lesbian if I give this one up.
I'm just going to start collecting them like Pokemon cards.
I'm only going to make friends at gay bars from now on. Okay, so we've already talked about how you kind of felt like you weren't quite in the middle of it socially. Like you weren't in the main ecclesia, you weren't in the main social groups and like families and stuff. You had mentioned that you had a few other stories about that. Do you want to share some other stories related to that?
Yeah, I really think that the experience of being on the outer edges of Christadelphian social circles and society is a lot harder. I mean, geography didn't help me, obviously, like I mentioned before, but because you're not good enough to hang out with the people that you should be hanging out with because they don't want to hang out with you. But then you also, get pity invites if you just happen to be in the right place at the right time and they're organizing something and they're like, oh yeah, okay, I guess you can come too.
That kind of feels like my childhood growing up as the outside edge of being
Yes.
in a family that was all that. Where I was
Yes.
often excluded, but then randomly I'd be like, oh yeah, you're invited to. I was like, oh, I am? Because I never
Yeah.
know. It's
Yeah.
not a guarantee.
Yeah. But then there was just such pressure from, especially my parents, but again, I said I love them. Specifically from my parents of being like, Kate, you need to be going to more things. Well, I don't want to. I don't feel like I am like,
Yeah, like wanted there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I was a very, very outgoing person, a super
Hmm.
outgoing person that can get along with anybody and just was just this massive social butterfly. My sister, completely opposite. She like give her a good book and sit her in a couch at
Yeah, that's
home.
more like me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good.
Um, but yeah, some other odd memories that I thought about when you asked me to come on. I have a very vivid memory of being at Bible school and being in the teenagers class. When you're in the teenagers class, you're expected to, one, take notes in a notebook, and two, do Bible marking in
Hmm.
whatever Bible you have.
Did you have like little markers and colored pencils and things then?
The whole works. Yeah. Big pencil cases for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, then at the end of each Bible school, they have like a prize giving night.
Hmm.
And there's one person that they choose who has done the best notes and the best Bible marking, who then
Do
gets
they
a
like
wide
look at your
margin.
Bible or something? Like, how do
Yeah.
they? Wow, they like flip through it or what?
Yeah. So you have to like submit it. You have to like leave it in the room there and submit it with your notebook and have it open, and then they go through and look at it.
Do they like read all of your notes or is it quantity over quality?
To be honest, I don't know how they like
Yeah. I want to
decided
know what
on that.
happens behind these closed doors because I've never heard of this and this sounds very
Yes.
subjective. I was like, what is the
Yes.
criteria? I'd also feel so embarrassed if I doodled a lot and be like, oh no, everyone's going to
Yeah.
see it. Like, this is a lot of pressure. I didn't think Jesus cared about this stuff. What is
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I had built up in my head that I had done fantastic notes.
Oh, yeah.
I was getting this wide margin Bible. I was. But you
That's,
know,
yeah, that was the carrot at the end of the stick to get you to take all those notes, I'm sure, too.
exactly, it
Like, I
is.
want a
It
new
is.
Bible.
Yeah. But again, the cool kids or the in crowd come swooping in again, because they're usually the ones that got them, and I didn't get it, and
Mhm.
I was devastated. I cried myself to sleep. I literally
Aw.
did.
And how old were you? You said you were like a teenager, like
Yeah,
15?
so you start going to the adult sessions when you get baptized. So I would have been about 14, 15.
Aw.
You can kind of decide like anywhere between 15 and 17 if you want to still go to the teenage class,
Mhm.
or if you want to go to the adult class. But yeah, somewhere around that age.
Okay. So sorry you didn't win that Bible, but hopefully they're still getting a lot of use out of it
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they
I
stayed
definitely
in.
carry that on my heart to this day. Definitely.
That was such an interesting story. So Australian too. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Do you want to share if there's any other stories from that time in your life about when you were Christadelphian before we start transitioning into talking about leaving the Christadelphians?
Yeah, one of my biggest resentments towards Christadelphians is how little they do for the community around them, the greater community. So, for a religion that prides themselves on not having churches made from brick and mortar, because that
Mm-hmm.
was like the saying, um,
Theirs are made from barbed wire and fences, actually.
exactly. And light blue painted walls. That's what Bible school was
Oh,
outside.
that's what yours were? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You know, as well as like just wanting to convert anyone and everyone,
Yeah, it was
they
all
really,
preaching.
they really don't spend very much time or money on like outreach stuff or preaching stuff, and they spend a lot of money on having their own halls and funneling money into their own events, stuff like that. So it was just that interesting dynamic of you can see all of these other churches around you that are trying to help out the community. You're wanting to be approachable by people.
Hmm.
Why why aren't you engaging with your community?
It sounds like it was very insular. So, like, all of these activities is basically invite only for people in the meeting most of the
Mm,
time. So, people from meeting are going to the sports events, they're going to these weekend events, they're going to the meeting events.
yeah.
But did it ever come up the topic of volunteering or actually like being at places where people in the community go and socialize as opposed to just staying in their little bubble all the time?
So the Shield meetings, they would do more
That,
outreach
that sounds
stuff.
about right.
Yeah. But specifically for my meeting, the box would be ticked when the lectures were being done, the community lectures,
Because
which,
technically they're advertised as open door for
yes, technically,
newcomers who never
which
really
we had
come.
to put in the stinking hot heat of summer, walk around our local area with these leaflets and put them
Hmm.
in people's letterboxes for then no one to turn up. And if anyone did, dear God, they're so boring.
Hot and boring.
Mm, If I was interested in something from a flyer and then I
Hmm.
went and I turned up to that, I would literally walk straight out.
Yeah. Did you at least have good snacks?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
The food,
Grab a plate of
that's one
snacks.
thing. Yeah, that is one thing. And I think Pete said this
This
actually.
is the other common thread. Good food.
Yeah, absolutely. And the church that I went to, like my family go to, they have lunch every single Sunday.
Really? That's a big commitment. That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to bring a plate. And the rule is enough for your family and one extra person.
Okay.
So that's what
Again,
I
this
really
is
enjoyed.
so much work in Australia. So you have to cook a meal, you have to be ready to teach Sunday school, you have to be ready to, or give an
Yes.
exhortation, depending on your gender or whatever. Plus, you have to be dressed to the nines with your fancy hat on,
Uh-huh.
your tights and whatever.
Mm,
This is,
mm,
this is so much work. And you have to drive an hour and a half each way,
mm-hmm.
paying for gas and everything to sit there. And it's like 100 degrees.
Yeah. But Sunday is supposed to be a day of rest, right?
This is not a day of rest. I'm exhausted thinking about this, let alone doing it every week, having to think, what recipe am I going to make? I have to make sure I've got the groceries. I've got to make sure I have it time prepped in time to drive the hour and a half in the morning
Mm,
before the Sunday school and the memorial service start and park and everything and say hi to all the aunties and uncles. This is all day. And it's like the night before, too. And the day
yeah.
before, depending
Yeah.
on what you have to do to prep for the next day.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
unpaid. All unpaid. You're putting money into the church to fund the church. Like you said, putting money into the collection,
Mm,
plus all the money you're giving in food and your time.
yeah. And from the time of being baptized, you are expected to put money in that bag that comes around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you have a job or not. I remember my parents would like before I got a job, but I was baptized, my
Yeah.
parents would hand me like a $5 or a $10 note before the meeting
My parents would
started.
hand me quarters, like as a little kid, to put in. That way I had something to contribute. Like we were trained to start
Yeah.
donating money to the church. And it's
Mm,
also, I don't know how other churches do it, but at ours it was always public, where they would like pass it from person to person and they
yes,
would go like row
same.
by row. And so you can see who's putting their hand in to drop something in or not.
Hmm.
I feel like that's also a little awkward. That may be totally common practice everywhere, but I also feel like that's peer pressure, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like you said, that money doesn't go towards like the poor or like at one point, the most I remember the Ecclesia doing was they would start going like once a year. I don't know if they still do it or not, but they were going to like the local town's festival that they held like once a year, and they would give out water bottles with like Bible verses on them or something, trying to
Mm,
like advertise the church, but at least go out and see people and give them something. So it's
yeah.
like, okay, like that's something. The bar's
Mm,
low, but
mm.
that's not nothing.
Yes. Like obviously it did help with like offsetting costs for the church camps that we had and the
Like a
weekends away
scholarship
and
kind of fund.
yeah, sort of.
Hmm. And buying speakers if they have to pay for flights to get people to come in to give talks. I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, one of the funny stories when I lived in Brisbane, because I wanted to be able to, when I first moved there, have friends that were Christos as well.
Okay.
Because I only knew a couple of people. So I decided to join a sports team for a touch rugby league. Um, do you want to know what they called their team?
I'm dying to know what they call their team.
They called their team the Crystal Dolphins.
That sounds like an ex-Christadelphian name for it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I think someone actually, like an ex-Christadelphian, made a website that was like Crystal Dolphins and was like blog posts about it.
I love that.
I'm pretty sure I'll have to find it and link it if I can find it.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
yeah.
Oh. So it was all Christadelphians on the rugby team?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
There was like one or two like friends of Christo's, like work friends or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
majority it was, yeah. Yeah,
In order to get that to be the team name, I would assume.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's kind of funny. So let's move into talking about leaving the Christadelphians. So looking back now, what would you say was the beginning of that process of leaving the group?
So it did heavily involve like youth camps or events. I was on multiple committees
Okay.
for camps or events or week-long camps.
That's a
Um,
lot of work again.
yeah,
And around how old would you have been around that time?
early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah. So I moved to England when I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. What was your main thought about why going there?
So depending on who I speak to, it depends on the answer that I say for that one. It's either,
Oh, I get to hear both. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. It's either I wanted to go to UKYC, so I just decided, well, I'm over there anyway. Why don't I just move over there? I'll just pack a suitcase and go, kind of thing. And then the second reason, which is kind of more to the point that prompted it, was me breaking up with that boyfriend that I was telling you about, who then started
Yeah.
dating my best friend.
Yeah.
Um, all of my friends were his friends, and his friends my friends.
Mm.
Just the small insular community,
Mhm.
I couldn't deal with it anymore. It was just all too much.
Okay, so definitely wasn't the
Um,
lesbian best friend, I'm assuming.
no.
So at least she's still in good standing. Good. I like her
Yeah,
so far.
yeah, she's safe. She's
But
safe.
I can see how that being in that community there would have been stifling at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. It
It's
was
and that's the awkward thing about Christadelphians. Like, oh, that's so nice that like you see each other at all these events, but if things go south, it's very awkward. Like I still remember like um I won't say who it was because I don't want anyone to be able to figure out who it was, but there's an adult, no one that like my generation, but she had dated one guy, they broke up, she married someone else. So someone that she had originally been going to the same meeting with, I think as well, started dating her ex. That woman was then invited to like her like bachelorette party and was like so passive aggressive the whole freaking time because like she's like, well, you had dated my boyfriend, and it was just like so freaking awkward. And hearing that, I
Yeah.
was like, this is so fucking petty from like grown women. Like, come
Mm,
on. But again, it's this closed community of like your dating
mm.
pool. So like once you start dating, you run the risk of it being very uncomfortable with certain
Yes.
people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So the reason why I picked England was because when I was living in Newcastle, there was a girl that I became really good friends with,
Oh,
from England, who moved
okay.
over to Australia for I think about 6 months,
Okay.
and her cousin lived around the corner from me. So when she came over, because we're around the same age, her cousin introduced us, and we became really, really good friends.
That's so nice.
Yeah, yeah. And also with, and I believe other people have spoken about this before, the just innate knowledge that you have a sense of community at
Yeah, you
any,
can just go
any
anywhere,
place
know
in the
someone
world.
already, have a place to
Yeah,
stay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know me, if I name drop the fact that I'm Christadelphian, I've got a couch and a meal. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And a ride to
um,
meeting.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I knew that I was going to be okay. There were so many people that are like, "Oh my God, like what are you going to do?" Because it's probably my ADHD, but I literally just booked a flight. That's all I did. Just a single flight over. I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have a job to go to. I was starting off at UKYC, and then I didn't really have any plans after that. So
To be fair, people do that and land on their feet quite often. The Christadelphians, pretty much,
yeah,
will like they'll just ask someone to connect someone, and eventually someone will come pick you up from the airport, and someone will
yeah.
find a place for you to stay. And like you contact that ecclesia, someone will figure it out and offer what you need.
Absolutely. And that's
Because like
that's how I got
yeah,
everything
because I saw
over
Australians
there.
come to the U.S. and do the same
Yeah.
thing, and other places and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah. As crazy as it may
Um,
sound to someone who's not a Christadelphian hearing this, that was just kind of standard practice. Like this
absolutely.
hospitality, which
Yeah.
was really impressive. And there's such good food. Like, come on.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, leading up to me going to England, um, I really threw myself into all of these committees and events and driving everywhere. Like my car racked up so many kilometers because I was driving
Yeah.
between here and Newcastle, and I would go to Brisbane for weekends, or Adelaide for
Hmm.
things. Um, so I think I did that because really subliminally I knew that I could see the cracks forming.
You think with
Um,
face already? Because I was, my first thought was like, oh, keeping busy. You went through a breakup, keep your mind off of it or.
yeah, I think not really with faith because, like I said before, I didn't really have it.
But it's funny that you were like, I don't have a lot of faith, but let me keep investing deeper into this
Yes,
organization. Let me get
exactly.
more involved. Seems
And I
so
think it was also
counterintuitive.
because I didn't have that like group of friends, mainly because I'd been moving around a lot, but also because of being on the outside.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to make an effort to be part of it or feel
Hmm.
like being a part of it. Um, so yeah, I just threw myself into doing stuff, notably doing stuff specifically for my parents' meeting, which was my home meeting.
Hmm.
But then also I was on a conference, like it was an international one, but like it was in Newcastle. I can't remember what it was called. And then I organized probably one of my favorite ones because it was the one that mostly aligned with like my values and what I saw important, was called Praise in the Park.
Okay.
And that was very shield, like very liberal
Yeah, I
end
can't
of the
imagine they
spectrum.
dragged an organ out to the park. So,
Yes.
what instruments did they have for praising the Lord? Unless it was a cappella singing, which, to be fair, could be a logos thing.
No, no a cappella singing because that kind of triggered people that were like Shield side.
It sounded like you're at
Um,
a funeral home and they're like, please stop.
yeah, it was anyone and everyone that wanted to play anything really.
Wow. Okay.
Over in Australia here, we have a few people that are very musically minded, and there are a couple of groups. They don't exist anymore because they were like a few years older than me. But we did have groups that were specifically Christos that came together and made music.
Okay.
So I kind of like organized with them to be able to,
Yeah, the
um,
SCYP one, basically.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
But like if I
um,
just like strolled up with a tambourine, I would be welcome there.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic. That is
yeah,
pretty good vibe. I could see that being
yeah.
successful.
And it was in an area of Sydney where there's a lot going on. Like it was right near a really big shopping centre and
Hmm.
a major train station, and a lot of foot traffic. So we did, all the fun things like had kids' tents that they could go and do craft and the usual tents about, here's a little book on the Christadelphians.
That was printed in 1955, and we have just kept
Exactly.
him in a box somewhere and pulled him out.
Have you
No,
heard of John Thomas?
this is John Thomas. See this man with a beard who's been dead for hundreds of years? He's the pioneer of our faith.
So yeah, I enjoyed doing that one, actually.
What was the coloring sheets? I want it to be John Thomas's boat almost sinking. There's little John Thomas like, what did he call out to the Lord, kids?
No, it was just random, anything that I thought that would be popular with children at the time.
Okay.
Dora the Explorer or
Oh wow, it wasn't even
Blue's
like
Clues.
color your Bible.
No, no, absolutely not.
Wow.
Yeah,
Those people are
so
going to be surprised if they're like, oh, I heard the Christadelphians are great. They wander into a Logos meeting and they're like, this is very
mm,
different than those people I met in the park.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was a process spanning probably 2 years leading up to England, or maybe it kind of overlapped
Okay.
but I really had not had a strong faith, like whatsoever, like I said before.
Yeah,
And it was
you've
just
mentioned that.
seen so many gaps, so many inconsistencies, like the covering up and the fighting about things that happen,
Hmm.
like within the meeting.
Like all the
Um,
infighting.
yeah, yeah. And I couldn't deal with it anymore because like my dad was part of the arranging brethren, so I was quite privy to problems that
Hmm.
were happening in the ecclesia, or
Yeah, they're having meetings and phone calls trying to figure it out how to
yeah,
handle things.
yeah, or problematic people that they were trying to handle. And it just wasn't dealt with or handled the right way. And, unfortunately, really contributed to a majorly toxic culture driven by one or two particular men or couples that
Hmm.
wanted to push their agenda.
I think
Um,
that's pretty common. I think we'll
yeah.
probably find more of that in the splits and stuff because it
Mm.
seems like it's big personalities cause big problems
Yeah, and for
often.
us, one of the ones in particular was music, like it always is for
Ooh,
everybody.
hot topic for the
Yeah,
Christadelphians.
yeah. So we had the Green Hymn Book.
So did we.
Um,
That's what I grew up with most
yeah,
of the time. We during my lifetime we switched from the black to the green.
yes, yeah, same, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the issues where it came about was for things on Sunday or Wednesday night classes, but particularly for things on Sunday, like when they're playing for everyone to sit down, or they're playing when it's all finished, or they're playing when the bread and wine is being given out and stuff like that.
Oh,
We started kind of integrating just purely piano, but music that had been made by Christadelphians. So actually, I think I've got it here because I found it randomly in a box the other day.
you set it aside for me. Is it a hymn book? Oh, it's the Purple Worship Book. That literally comes up in the episode that is coming out this weekend. Okay, so we got disconnected for a second, but you found the Purple Worship Book, which amazing timing talking to you this
Yeah.
episode because literally the episode that will come out before this, we are talking about the Purple Worship Book and a song that is in it
Yes. Ah,
because we will be talking to someone who helped write the songs that are in that book.
perfect.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, so there's a couple of, and I'm sure that they'll probably go into this, but there's a couple of versions of that one now. But that was the first
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Um, so so yeah, basically there was a lot of problems that stemmed around using that, or like the Praise the Lord hymn book,
Yeah, it's
or
scandalous. Praise the Lord was pushing it a little
mm,
bit. Wasn't the green
mm,
hymn book.
yeah. Um, so a lot of problems happened, and then there was other issues around like divorce and remarriage, people that wanted to come to the meeting that were divorced but had a new partner,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like
Scandalous.
that.
You can only have one. God says you are one. You got to be equally
Absolutely,
yoked.
absolutely. So much so that there's actually a woman that I know of. I grew up with her daughter. Um, Her and her partner, like the father of her children, never got divorced
Okay.
because she didn't agree with it, and she will not agree with divorcing him even though he has a new partner now.
And does he have kids
Um,
with the new partner?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, she refuses to divorce him because she doesn't want to, do the
have
wrong thing.
or like have the question is always like, is God going do you really think God's gonna be mad at you, or do you just think everyone in your meeting's gonna be mad at you? Because I think we know the real answer there is it has nothing to do with godliness after a certain point. Like if
Exactly.
if Jesus could love a prostitute, I think Jesus can handle you getting divorced from the man that you were married to
Yeah.
for so
Yeah.
long. Like
Yeah.
that's my thoughts.
So that was kind of the starting of kind of the leaving process for me. So then I moved to England, lived there for 2 years. Me being in England was a very clarifying, eye-opening
Hmm.
moment of growth for me, I
Okay.
find. Um, I was able to work on myself. I was able to get different people's opinions that weren't part of the environment that I was in before.
Hmm.
Um,
Different churches, different personalities, all that stuff. And did
yeah,
you make a lot of connections outside the Christadelphians there, or not really?
a few through work.
Okay.
Yeah. Because unfortunately I had to have like 2 or 3 different jobs. So I had my normal Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job, and then I worked at a
Okay.
bar, and then I worked at a pub as well. So
Oh man. Okay.
yeah, I was busy, which seems to be a very common thread through my life. Um,
Tell me about it.
so just it was a very clarifying moment in my life that meant that I was able to have a look at my values and what my values were in my life, and
Hmm.
the fact that I did not align with the the way that they wanted to live their life, the way that they expected you to live your life,
Hmm.
and the way that they treated people really
Hmm.
was the
Hmm.
main thing. Um, for people that are so happy to say, love thy neighbor as thyself, do you do that?
Hmm. Or do you
Really?
fight and tell them they got to put the head covering back on their head?
Yeah, absolutely. And pipe down.
Yeah.
So, when I got back from England, I was pretty set on the fact that I personally was not actively going to be making the choice to go back to church.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it was right at the start of COVID that I
Okay.
moved
So
back.
you're with family, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty much
So,
expected. Yeah. If you're living with
exactly.
Christadelphians.
Yeah, so I had to move in with mum and dad, and that was the expectation.
Yeah.
I was able to get a job, fortunately, through my family. So I 100% signed up for every single Sunday shift possible.
How unfortunate you had to miss
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
really, really
so
hard, but
sad.
I've got to make the money to pay my bills. So I sporadically went to the meeting when I didn't have a excuse.
Excuse.
Um, um, but then that kind of meant that, I was even more on the outer, but I was okay with that because I'd already started to come to terms with that.
Yeah, you didn't really want to be
Um,
there.
yeah. And then the straw that broke the camel's back was that I came out to my parents as bisexual and
Oh,
having a girlfriend at the time.
that would do it. You kind of can't avoid that conversation much
Yeah,
longer.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that unfortunately meant that I was shamed and effectively Bible bashed for the next 45 minutes after I told them.
That's brutal. That's
Um,
a brutal response to
mm,
someone, your child telling you that their sexuality.
yeah, yeah. Um, and it it then brought up the same things that I always used to be told. If you had better friends, things would be so much easier for you. If you dedicated yourself to going to church every Sunday, things would be so much better for you. Like this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
not how
like,
sexuality works.
no.
Literally not it.
And I have worked through it, but at the time when I came out to my parents, my main stress and anxiety was not around the act of telling them. It
Okay.
was it was around the way that they would be perceived
Like at the meeting with people maybe
Yeah,
treating them differently.
or gossiping about them or
Well,
anything like that.
going to meeting, there's always gossip.
Mm, mm,
That small town
um,
thing, that's that vibe.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Christo Grapevine is rife.
It's moving. I'm pretty sure they must have known about this podcast when the first episode came out within like 24 hours, just through the grapevine.
Yes. And it was equal parts that, but then also equal parts that I was worried about the fact that they would take it out on themselves. Because I knew their mentality, I knew that they would take it out on themselves that they weren't good enough parents or they didn't parent us well enough.
Well, they were trying to find an excuse, like, oh, it was your friends. Oh, it was that you didn't go to the meeting.
Mm,
Oh, it was that. So I
mm.
guess that is, just one other excuse that they could linger on instead of just accept you.
Yes, exactly.
Which is the easier option where you don't have to blame anyone because it's nothing to be upset about.
Yes. But it's safe to say, which is a very common thread through my life as well, and through the lives of most of my friends, that if we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let's not bring that up. It's fine.
Yeah, no. So I think it's only ever once since then, and that was in 2023 that I told them.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2022 actually. And yeah, I think it's only once since then that it's ever been brought up. And even then, it was brought up. I replied, and I was like, I would love to have this open conversation with you. Really, really enjoying this kind of backwards and forwards. But then I didn't get a reply back. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things that I hold from leaving, and from my childhood that, the guilt and shame that I wasn't that model Christadelphian.
And they really did try to model you with the amount of control and restrictions and guidance and the environments they were constantly putting you in and the people they would
Yeah.
put you around. Like, they really did try.
Yeah. Some of the things that I really did struggle with afterwards, like when I was completely removed, from there was, the feelings of disconnect or abandonment, because you have gone from the sense of having community and knowing all of these people to then having nothing, like maybe one or two friends that you continue with.
But within Christadelphia, totally different.
Yeah,
Gone.
absolutely. Yeah. And I still struggle with this, and I'm talking to my therapist about it. But the whole struggle with a loss of a sense of purpose. That's really what I've been struggling with since then. However, in saying that, I would not change it for the world. I absolutely would not.
Yeah. It's nice to have the freedom to choose it for yourself and to be able to change your mind for yourself, as opposed to having someone else tell you, oh, this is going to be your purpose. And it's the same as everyone else's. Your purpose is to get into the kingdom. It's to be a good Christadelphian, to raise good Christadelphians, and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can be whatever you want, which is intimidating in that it's so freeing.
Yes.
There's a lot of options out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's okay to figure it out as you go along. And we've already mentioned seeing a therapist. So do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Because you said you were seeing a trauma therapist.
Yeah, so being part of the Ex Christo Facebook page, but also being very active in and staying knowledgeable about what is going on in Australian politics at the moment, I came across the Religious Trauma Collective. So at the moment, there's actually someone in our group that is working alongside the Religious Trauma Collective and a few other people to be able to push through laws to be able to stop coercive control in religious circumstances.
I've been hearing rumblings about that in the group. So it's pretty interesting. I'll be curious to hear updates.
Yeah. I've been trying to keep my finger on the pulse to see what's going on with it. So yeah, definitely watch this space in terms of that, because that could be really beneficial for these kind of conversations and everything like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I've only started a few months ago because I started my diploma in counseling at the start of this
Uh,
year.
how
Yeah.
often does the therapist end up with the one in therapy and they're like, oh, this is helpful?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just re-traumatizing myself but not realizing. So it was really a case of doing this course started really pointing things out to me, which then meant I was
Mm.
like thinking on things a lot more.
Yeah.
Um, which then meant that I was really realizing that I was going downhill quite quickly in terms of
Oh,
my mental health and everything like that. So I was like,
okay.
well, I need to do something about this. And I found it so beneficial. I really have,
Hmm.
so far.
Well, that's great.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I know a lot of people on the podcast recommend therapy, so it's nice to hear that you recognize, like, hey, that might be something I need right now, and we're able to find someone. So you just went to the Religious Trauma Collective website?
The Religious Trauma Collective website, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll have to link that in the show notes for this, but that's awesome.
Mm,
Especially because it's tailored to religion, so it can really hone
yes.
in on certain topics and perspectives that are more relevant for things relating to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that we're able to talk about that stuff on this podcast. Be like, what are your traumas and what are you doing about it? Girl talk. And then it's also cool that you're able to embrace your sexuality, and like actually came out to your parents and had a whole
Mm.
conversation about it, even though it did not go well. Have you still been going to like pride events and things like that?
Yeah, I really immerse myself in going to those kind of things
Yeah.
after. Like I was going to them before, but I was kind of just keeping it on the down low.
Yeah.
Um, but after that, I just didn't really give a fuck. So,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I love it.
Mm,
Here for it.
yeah. And
Uh,
going to them both in Australia and in England was really good.
you did
So,
in England too. Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
That's funny. What a change from being like, oh, I'm just gonna go stay with some Christadelphians and be like, I'm gonna hit
yeah.
Pride though.
They're all gays. They're all homosexuals.
I wonder how many gay people are actually in the Christadelphians that we don't know about. Because like I was bisexual sitting in there and I knew it, and I still
Mm,
attended for a while.
mm.
You do wonder.
Yeah, I knew from probably about the age of 17, 18.
I think I knew by 14 or so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's start winding down. I was wondering if you wanted to share any advice that you would give to someone who's considering leaving or has recently left the Christadelphians.
I think that I would say to younger Kate that it is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And with choice, despite what we have been modeled to us growing up, a choice means that you need to be able to know the positives and negatives of both sides. So when you are questioning, don't go to a Christadelphian. Just
They're only
don't.
going to tell you more of the same thing. If you can't
Exactly.
doubt,
Or
just,
just, yeah,
Bible harder or whatever.
they'll just shame you. You'll feel bad. And then, it'll be another year or two before you then start that process again.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to someone, that has interacted with this podcast or the Facebook page or things like that to be able to ask questions and have an open mind with a non-judgmental, safe space. And I think it may get hard, but it's going to be okay. Your life is
Yeah.
going to be so much better. And
Mm.
absolutely, my life has increased in the positives and in my happiness tenfold because of that choice that I made. And yeah, you will always have community somewhere. Then, like I said, the Facebook page and the podcast is a good place to start. But
Yeah.
you know, reach out to other people that have the same hobbies as you. Sign up
Yeah.
to, groups that might be in your area and just start with that. Start with common interests because I
Mm-hmm.
know that it can be very confronting making friends when you don't have that
Yeah.
commonality.
That can be hard, especially when you're just raised with a community and now you're like, oh, I've never had to find one on my own before.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, ultimately it's going to be okay. I
Yeah.
promise.
I think that's good advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all been there. It's hard, but that's the whole point of the podcast is we got through it and now we're here to talk about it.
Yes.
And then do you have anything specifically with like books or music or podcasts, minus this one, which is awesome, that you'd want to recommend to someone who's leaving or has left the Christadelphians?
Well, I do have something to admit, Zinnia, and I do apologize for this, but there was a podcast before you.
Tell me about it because maybe I want to listen.
So it's a podcast called From God to Gay.
Amazing name for a podcast.
Absolutely. So basically, just very quickly, it's two women. They were married and had children, religious, came out as gay, left their partners, and now they're talking about the ins and outs of leaving, parenting, stuff like that. Obviously, I can't really relate to the whole parenting thing because I don't have my own children,
Yeah.
but I really benefited from the information that I got from that to be able to like help me work through that kind of queer side of me
Yeah,
in
I
terms
think
of religion.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of that come up on here yet about resources for people with that background. So that's really a good one. And it sounds
Yeah.
fun. And I feel like I meet so many people that have that background where like I know two very happy lesbians that have, a kid, and they had both been married to a man before. Someone I follow online who I've shared on the podcast Instagram just left her marriage, and I think she'd been raised like evangelical or something, married a man, and then didn't realize, turns out she's a lesbian, so they got divorced. And like this does happen, and that's like what I was saying with like your parents is like they raised you in the environment where if you could just shape someone's environment and force them to turn out the way you wanted them to, you would have become this little religious, Bible-loving, heterosexual person because that's what they wanted. And if that was that easy for someone else to exert their control and make you be that, that would have happened. But that's not the case. If anything, it's just like a stumbling block on someone's journey where it just takes them longer to get to where they're already going. And then people end up with the trauma because they're falling down, they're getting hurt, they're figuring it out on their own, they're just having a sudden identity crisis, those sorts of things. Having to break up a marriage, having divorces sometimes because you didn't realize before you went into that relationship. So again, I feel like it causes so much harm to not just accept them.
Yes.
So yeah, that's really cool. I'm sure a lot of people relate to that.
But apart from that, I know that you said despite this podcast, but your podcast has been instrumental in helping me with everything, just because there is that common knowledge of Christadelphian law.
Yeah. Yes, the culture of it. Yeah. And even like the little things, like we just have so many little things that we all can relate to, even though you're literally across the world from me. But I relate to so much of the things you said, and I kind of just like get where you came from because it's so similar to where I came from, and even with figuring out the sexuality and things later on, definitely relate. But I'm glad to hear that because not everyone reaches out. So like if no one tells me, I'm like, I hope that was a good one. But like please like comment and like shoot me an email or a message or whatever, because I love hearing from people that they're getting something out of it. So I know that like, okay, I'm releasing something good into the world. It's worth my effort and time, because a lot of stuff happens that I don't hear about people chatting about it and whatnot. So I'm like, oh no, like tell me.
And along that same vein, the Facebook page is really great to be able to read other people's stories, to have a laugh at these random memes that we all share, and to be able to just get advice or just get a different perspective on things. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's nice to have a place for that, especially since everyone's so spread out all over the world. It's become a very convenient place to go to share whatever you want to share, thoughts, vent, joke, whatever, resource, and just whoever needs it can hopefully find it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely agree. I really love being a part of the group. And then it's been interesting now to be a bigger part of it. Where I'm a conversation starter for a lot of things and connecting people. It's been fun to hear about people creating friendships through the podcast. I know some people who have been thinking about leaving have asked and like emailed me at the podcast to ask if I can connect them with a podcast guest that they relate to and want to talk to as they are on their leaving journey. So it's been really cool to connect people who need it and offer more resources to people going through this in our community.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for being a part of it now too. Now that you've
Thank
come
you.
on and shared your story.
Yes.
Now I have a new podcast I need to listen to because I think I'm going to like that. So thanks again for coming on the podcast and for sharing your
No
story
worries.
with us. And thank you to all of our listeners, as always, for tuning in. And that's all for today. So I hope everyone's feeling inspired to live your truth, and stay tuned for our next episode. Bye, everyone. Thank you to everyone who has helped make this episode of the podcast possible. Today's episode was edited by me, Zinnia. I'd also like to thank Al Kroons for creating our intro music and the ex-Christadelphians that submitted audio for the intro music. If you'd like to join our community, you can find us at the group for ex-Christadelphians on Facebook. You can also follow our social media on Facebook and Instagram at Life After Leaving Podcast. If you'd like to come on the podcast, reach out to me at lifeafterleavingpodcast@gmail.com. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving a rating and review or sharing this podcast with a friend. That's all for today. Thanks, and see you next time.